So it's Monday, and all last week I spent in Nashville because my middle daughter was invited to a week-long college program, and I didn't want to drive back and forth. Like, I didn't want to go up there, drive back, then have to go back and pick her up. So we stayed the week at my other daughter's house, and I basically went. Like, when I go up there, I go on vacation. Like, I don't want to be bothered. Just let me lock in this little room and lock in with me. I had found some really good series on TV to watch, and that was sufficient enough for me. I didn't need anything more, just some food, and to be left alone. And it was my first week out of my heart monitor. You know, I had to wear a heart monitor for 30 days, and this was the first week out. So I wanted to get in the pool with my daughter. I wanted to take her to the water park up there. About the first or the second night, the second day, you know, she was cool. She didn't have any problems. She was telling me that there was this one black lady that kept giving her, you know, a hard time. And I made an excuse. I said, well, those are the same people that went to the school that had got the shitty experience, and they just passed it along like a rite of passage, which for us is unfortunate because they don't know how to handle it. Like, for me, at 18, 17, 18, I didn't know how to handle that either. It just felt like an attack. But she wasn't just attacking my daughter. She was attacking all the little pretty black girls that seemed to be, I don't know. It was just some mean girls. But she did it to me. But I cut her off, and I was like, hey, that ain't what I'm finna do. So, Tuesday, I took some stuff over to her, and she was crying. And I immediately said, you ready to go? Because sooner or later we finna get put out of where we at anyway. You know, my daughter said the little one was getting on her nerves, and I'm cool with that. I can come home. And she was like, no, I'm gonna tough it out. I think I'm just overstimulated, and I just needed. She didn't say it, but she needed me as much as I needed to see her, because she didn't call a whole lot. I didn't call. That night, I got a vision of a kid falling off the bed, hurting her shoulders. And for those that don't know, my middle daughter has epilepsy and has hurt her shoulders. So when she texted me, she said my roommate fell off the bed. It was one of those things that took me back to Eve's Bayou, where one of the aunts got a vision of somebody being ran over, but she didn't let the kids out the house. And then when it wasn't, you know, it took me back to Eve's Bayou, so I had to watch it. But we get back, and she immediately goes to work, which pissed me off. But I always think they work so hard, because my oldest daughter, I didn't see her while I was there. She would come in and be like, hey, Mom, I'm here from work. She'll take a shower, sleep a couple hours, and she'd be like, bye, Mom, I'm going to the other job. And I was like, well, God, it reminded me of Tiana when she was like, good night, cows, hello, Harold's. And I'm like, oh, damn, that's my baby. It's pretty Tiana trying to save her restaurant. But the sad part about it is they shouldn't have to work that hard, because they have two parents. And what they are trying to do is to prove to him that whether you help my mom or not, we still gonna get it. And I hate that for them. So I had to change my echocardiogram from last week to today, because I was going to be in Nashville. And it rained, and I did me a little dance in the rain. One of the tarot readers said you need to get out and dance in the rain. So I was in the rain, but all the products in my hair store raining down on me. So it was like, it's burning. So anyway, I came back in. The day got shitty, so I had to get ready to go to my appointment. And when I was there, when I was having the echocardiogram, which I am trying to decide, do I want to go back to school for ultrasounds? Because I've always been fascinated with them ever since I was pregnant with the oldest. So I should have been done that already. And the guy was really nice. We talked about the program. We talked about the echo. We talked about the issues that I was having that sent me there for the echo. And as I listened to my heartbeat, I remember 23 years ago with my oldest, probably during this same time, I was going to get ultrasounds. And I remember hearing how strong her heartbeat was, because I would always hold my breath until they found her heartbeat. And with each kid, I wanted to hear how strong it is. And there was this book that I got. I read everything. I'm a nerd at heart. So I read everything. And there was this book that I had read that said, if the heart rate is such and such, it's a girl. But if it's such and such, it's a boy. But we had already confirmed she was a girl. And even with the other ones. But with this one, I used to write down what her heart rate was. And I remember thinking how hard it was, her heart rate was. But I didn't take into account that her heart rate was so high because she was pulling from mine just a little bit. And I've learned since having the kids that every time you get pregnant, it weakens your heart. So the more kids you have, and this is not for everybody, I'm going to just go off of me and a couple of people that I know that have had similar situations. And today I was thinking, I was waiting, listening for that strong heartbeat that I'm so used to hearing. But mine wasn't that strong. It wasn't that loud. It wasn't that vivid. It was a heart of somebody that has gone through some things, that has struggled, that has hurt, and that has bounced back. So I'm a Scorpio, so I know death and rebirth all too well. But I wanted to know why. Like, why at birth are their heart rates expected to be like 140, 150, like the higher the better? And mine wasn't. And I remember one time, the oldest one had to have an echocardiogram. And I remember sitting in the corner of the doctor's office, weeping silently, but asking God to protect her, to make it okay, like everything. And then I thought about how those appointments that I went to, because I seen a cardiologist with probably each pregnancy, I went to most of my appointments alone. I toughed it out alone. I've done the relationship thing, but still been alone. So I was single in a relationship. The important parts I was doing by myself. And I was listening to another tarot reader that was telling me it's time to open your heart. Time to let love in, let go of that deceased soulmate, that loved one that you feel like you feel guilty over. And all of the things that was going on had me thinking that it's a heart chakra being blocked, being guarded, a wall being built, then barbed wire on their wall, and bars on top of that, and it's so tall nothing can get in but nothing can get out as well. And so I remember a conversation I had with a guy that I thought, we had hit it off, but it turns out we didn't. And he was saying, he had lost a friend and he was there for her during her last few weeks. And I said, well, I debated to tell you what was going on with my heart because I didn't think it would be fair. He was like, oh, no, you cool. It ain't a death sentence, right? And I was like, no, it's not. I said, and the blood pressure being unstable, I heard that once the right man come along, everything seems to kind of fixes itself. And he was like, yeah, your heart chakra is blocked. Your heart chakra is blocked. So again, everything goes back to the chakras, the body, the being in a line, being in peace, but also being, I think for me, aware enough to know what's going on, what I need, what I'm missing. But the best part about it is knowing where to go to get it. Because I remember praying, let my baby's heart rate be high. Let her be okay. The whole time I was carrying her. So while God is carrying me, and while I'm going through this transitional period, I want a stronger heartbeat. My blood pressure was 130/81, and I laughed because I was like, it's a whole lot better than it was the month before I came in here, and the lady put me on that heart monitor for a month. And she put me on more pills. And I hate taking the pills, but I do understand that sometimes Western medicine is necessary. And because the blood pressure can't be controlled naturally with herbs, I'm doing the right thing. But I also want to let this be a message. Like, even though you may be going through and you listening for a stronger heart rate, while God is carrying you to your next, while you're waiting to be birthed, while you're birthing that next idea, that next relationship, that next manifestation, you got to be in tune with your own heart. So you got to know what you need, when you need, who you need it from, and when to walk away. When to walk away. But it was also a message, because I want to do ultrasounds, but it was also a message like, do you know, and it was a good conversation. Like, everything happens for a reason. Even thinking back to 23 years ago, listening to my daughter's heartbeat, and then about 15 years after that, listening to her heartbeat because they was checking for a problem, and it turns out to be okay. But I'm always more cautious than I am nonchalant when it comes to, you know, the kids. But if I can leave you with anything, I leave you with this thing that says stress can kill you faster than a bullet. I'm sorry, Redbirds, I'm gonna go in the house in a minute. And I believe that. So sometimes we just have to let go and listen for that heart rate, for that sign, for that message, for your next step, especially when you are in harvest season, when you're transitioning, when you're going through a rebirth, when you're manifesting, when you're leveling up. It's always something to listen for. Even in the darkest time, listen for it.